In the heart of New York's federal courtroom, a hush fell over the crowd as a familiar figure stepped forward. Her presence carried the weight of years spent in the shadows, her voice a beacon piercing through a decade of silence. This was no ordinary day in court. It was the moment the entertainment world held its breath, as a woman once celebrated, then sidelined, took the stand to confront an empire. Her name? A household staple for those who've tuned into the pulse of pop culture. Her mission? To expose a system of power, manipulation, and secrecy that had thrived in Hollywood's glittering underbelly for far too long. This is not just a story of one woman's battle. It's a saga of resilience, a reckoning for an industry that has long shielded its darkest secrets behind fame and fortune. As she spoke, her words echoed far beyond the courtroom walls, sparking a movement that could reshape the entertainment landscape forever. Are you ready to uncover the truth behind the glamour? Let's dive into a tale that's as shocking as it is inspiring, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think it takes to stand up to power? Once a titan of radio and television, this woman built her career on unfiltered honesty. Her talk show was a cultural touchstone, a place where celebrities' secrets were laid bare, and the audience loved her for it. But with great influence came great risk. In the early 2000s, she began to notice patterns, whispers of lavish parties that were more than they seemed, stories of young artists coerced into silence, and a network of powerful figures who ensured dissenters were erased. She spoke out, daring to name names, and that's when the retaliation began. Her career, once soaring, was systematically dismantled. Advertising deals vanished overnight. Threatening calls came in the dead of night. She was ambushed, verbally and physically, by those she believes were sent to intimidate her. "I wasn't trying to destroy anyone," she later testified, her voice steady but heavy with the weight of memory. "I just wanted the truth to breathe." Yet the cost of her courage was steep. Her health deteriorated, her reputation was smeared, and her voice was nearly silenced. Diagnosed with conditions that altered her life, she retreated from the spotlight, but the fire within her never dimmed. What does it mean to challenge an industry as powerful as entertainment? It's a world where billionaires and moguls wield influence not just over careers, but over narratives. The woman's story reveals a chilling truth. Speaking out can cost you everything. Her experience mirrors others who've dared to question the status quo, from whistleblowers in corporate boardrooms to activists in political spheres. The pattern is clear. Those who control the narrative control the consequences. But her return to the courtroom signals a shift. Could this be the moment when the tides turn? Share your thoughts. Have you ever faced backlash for speaking your truth? At the center of her testimony lies a man whose name is synonymous with success, a music mogul who built an empire on chart-topping hits and larger-than-life personas. But behind the glitz, she alleges, was a darker reality. She described parties that weren't just celebrations but carefully orchestrated events where power dynamics played out in private rooms. Non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, were standard, binding attendees to silence under threat of ruin. Young artists, eager for a break, were allegedly drawn into a system where compliance was the price of opportunity. Her testimony didn't stop at one man. She pointed to a broader network, an ecosystem of enablers from producers to media tycoons who allegedly protected the mogul's influence. Names once untouchable in Hollywood were mentioned, sending shockwaves through the courtroom. She produced documents, emails, memos, and NDAs that painted a picture of a coordinated effort to silence dissent. One email, dated over a decade ago, instructed a journalist to pivot from covering rumors to promoting the mogul's philanthropy. Another document, a worn NDA, outlined penalties for speaking about private gatherings. These weren't just legal contracts, they were, in her words, chains of silence. NDAs are common in many industries, but in entertainment, They've become a tool of control, according to the testimony. They don't just protect privacy, they can shield wrongdoing, ensuring that victims and witnesses stay quiet. This raises a broader question. How do we balance privacy with accountability? The woman's evidence suggests a system where NDAs were weaponized, creating a culture of fear. What do you think? Should NDAs be reformed to prevent abuse? Drop your opinion in the comments, and let's spark a discussion. As she stood before the judge, her resolve was palpable. The defense team, representing the mogul, was quick to challenge her. "Where's the proof?" they demanded, dismissing her documents as unverified and her stories as dramatic fiction. They argued that her health struggles clouded her credibility, a tactic that drew gasps from the gallery. But she was prepared. She presented a recording, a grainy, chilling voice warning her to stop talking or face consequences. The courtroom fell silent as the judge's gavel restored order. Her dossier wasn't just a collection of papers. It was a lifeline pieced together by former insiders who, like her, had grown tired of the lies. These allies, still anonymous, provided internal memos and emails that corroborated her claims. One memo referenced a crisis management meeting involving high-profile figures allegedly held to quash rumors about the mogul. The prosecution emphasized that these documents were legally obtained, a point that countered the defense's attempts to discredit them. The woman's testimony wasn't a solo act. Behind her stood a network of unsung heroes, former employees, artists, and insiders who risked their own safety to share evidence. Their anonymity speaks to the fear that still lingers in Hollywood, but their contributions signal hope. Change doesn't come from one voice alone, it takes a chorus. Who are the unsung heroes in your life or community? Share their stories below to inspire others. Her testimony transcended the individual. She spoke of a list in Hollywood, an unwritten rulebook of names you couldn't touch. Mentioning them meant losing contracts, invitations, and opportunities. She recounted a fallout with a major film project, backed by powerful figures, that led to her being blacklisted. "I went from red carpets to rejection," she said, her voice cracking but resolute. "They didn't just take my career, they took my voice." Her words struck a chord, not just in the courtroom, but across social media, where fans and former colleagues began sharing their own stories of industry pressure. Hashtags like #BreakTheSilence and #HollywoodTruth trended, amplifying her message. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for every artist, assistant, and dreamer who'd been silenced by the industry's invisible hand. One woman's courage can spark a movement. Her testimony has ignited conversations about power, accountability, and the cost of silence. It's a reminder that change often starts with one voice willing to risk it all. What's a cause you're passionate about? Share it below, and let's amplify the voices that need to be heard. As she stepped down from the stand, the courtroom was no longer just a room. It was a battleground where truth clashed with power. Her final words lingered. "This isn't about one man. It's about an industry that let him thrive. I'm not afraid anymore because the truth is louder than their silence." Her testimony wasn't just a legal maneuver. It was a clarion call, a challenge to an empire built on fear and complicity. The trial continues, and the mogul's fate remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. Her voice has shattered the silence. She's not just a witness, she's a catalyst, proving that even in the face of unimaginable odds, one person can spark change. The Tower of Lies, as she called it, is trembling, and with every new voice that joins her, it edges closer to collapse. This is more than a story, it's a movement. Will you stand with those who speak truth to power? Share this story with your friends, family, and followers to keep the conversation alive. Use #BreakTheSilence to join the global dialogue about accountability in entertainment. Subscribe to our channel for updates on this trial and other stories that matter. Together, we can amplify the voices that refuse to be silenced. What's your take on this saga? Drop a comment below, And let's keep the truth alive.